Okay, so have you ever been there? You're praying, really pouring your heart out to God, asking for help, for some kind of sign.
And you just get nothing? Like complete and total silence? It feels like you're just talking to the ceiling?
Man, that is such a frustrating place to be, right? It can make you start asking all these questions. Why does he feel so far away? Did I do something wrong? Look, if that's you, I just want you to know you are definitely not alone in feeling that. But what if we're looking at this all wrong? What if the problem isn't that God is ignoring you or that he's not good? What if the real issue is that we just misunderstand him? So today, that's what we're going to do. We're going to dive into 5 huge misconceptions about God that might, honestly, change the way you see everything.
Okay, let's get into the first big one. It's all about how we think we're supposed to hear from God. See, a lot of us have this idea that his voice is something you literally hear with your ears, you know?
We're kind of waiting for that movie moment, right? The clouds part and this big booming voice comes down from the heavens. Something so obvious you can't possibly miss it. But the reality? It's usually so much quieter. It's more like a quiet nudge, that little feeling deep down.
And it's not just one way. God speaks through so many different channels. He can speak through the people in your life, or a verse in the Bible that just seems to jump off the page at you. Or what about that strong gut feeling? That conviction that tells you, yes, do this, or no, stay away. And then there's that famous still, small voice. It's so easy to miss if we've got all this other noise going on. So maybe the problem isn't that God is silent. Maybe it's just that our lives are too loud.
All right, moving on to number 2, and this one's a biggie. It's all about how we view prayer. So often we treat it like a cosmic vending machine or a wish list for Santa Claus. We put in our request and expect the exact item to pop out. Let's use an example. Imagine you're going through something really tough, and you pray for strength. You're just asking God, please just give me the strength to get through this. Seems like a pretty straightforward prayer, doesn't it? But then, instead of just zapping you with a feeling of strength, things might actually get harder. He allows pressure. And you're thinking, wait, this is the opposite of what I asked for. But think about it. How do you build muscle? Not by wishing for it, right? You have to lift heavy things. You need that resistance. That pressure is the very thing that's building the strength you prayed for in the first place. And this really gets to the heart of it. God answers our prayers based on his purpose for us, not our personal preference. See, his goal isn't just to fix our immediate problem. It's to shape us, to grow our character, and ultimately to bring us closer to him.
Okay, I get it. That whole purpose over preference thing can be a tough pill to swallow. And when things don't go the way we hoped, it's really easy to jump to the conclusion that, well, God must be mad at us. And that brings us to misconception number 3. And this is a heavy one. This idea that God is like an angry boss or a disappointed parent just waiting for us to mess up so he can get mad.
But then you look at a verse like this, maybe the most famous verse in the whole Bible. What's the motivation here? It's not anger, it's love. A love so big that he made the biggest sacrifice possible. The thing is, he already knew we would mess up. That's the whole point. So when he corrects us, it's not rejection, it's redirection. His patience is just, it's infinitely bigger than our mistake. Okay, on to misconception number 4. Let's be real, we live in a world of instant gratification. 2-day shipping, on-demand everything. And we kind of expect God to work the same way. We want microwave blessings, pop it in, 30 seconds later, it's ready.
But God operates on a totally different timeline. He knows that if he just handed us everything we wanted right when we wanted it, we probably couldn't handle it. So before the blessing comes the preparation. And that preparation can look a few different ways. Sometimes it's a test of your faith. Sometimes it's a season of what feels like silence, where you just have to trust. Sometimes it's just waiting. And sometimes it's pruning, where he has to cut some things out of your life to make room for the new thing he's doing. Just look at Job in the Bible. He went through the ultimate preparation, and it was brutal, but it made him ready for God to bless him with double what he had before.
And that idea of preparation leads us right into our final misconception. And honestly, this might be the toughest one to wrestle with. It's the idea that God actually wants us to suffer or that he somehow enjoys our pain. And let me just be crystal clear on this. God does not cause evil, and he absolutely does not take pleasure in our suffering.
So, the big question is, why does he allow it then? Well, from a biblical perspective, when we face hardship, it's almost always for one of 3 main reasons.
First, for discipline. Not as punishment, but as correction, to get us back on the right path when we've wandered off. Second, to test our character. Hard times have a way of revealing what we're really made of, right? It shows us where our faith is real and where we still need to grow.
And third, just like we talked about, for growth and preparation. That painful situation you went through, maybe that was God preparing you, making you stronger and wiser for whatever He has for you next.
So let's kind of pull all this together. When you look at it this way, you start to see that nothing is random. His silence, the way He answers prayers, His timing, it's not because He's distant. It's because He is purposeful.
He's not that angry judge we've built up in our heads just waiting to smack us down. No, He is patient, and everything He does flows from a place of deep, unwavering love for you.
And every part of the journey, the waiting, the hard stuff, all of it, it has a point. He is preparing you. Because here's the thing, He will never give you a blessing that He hasn't first prepared you to handle.
So I just want to leave you with this one question to think about. That distance you've been feeling, what if it isn't distance at all? What if God isn't far away, He's just different than you've imagined? And what if this is your invitation to finally meet Him for who He really is?